All right, beautiful humans, welcome back for another episode of Naked Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's show. This is being aired at a special time. This is airing on my birthday weekend, my 35th, the conclusion, I guess, of my 35th time around around the sun. And today is all about probably my biggest takeaway, my greatest lesson and all my time spent on this planet, but also especially in my work in coaching and my experiences in my own personal development journey, wherever that's taken me. My hope is that I can share this greatest lesson and perhaps give you some insight on how to use it in your everyday life and what I've seen how people can use it to achieve success, or at least gravitate towards a deeper sense of fulfillment. I think a lot of people in this life are they say I just want to be happy. I've come to a place where I think a more prudent thing to pursue is fulfillment, engaging in things that enrich our heart, enrich our soul, inspire us to keep growing within ourselves and supporting and loving others. Because there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, depending on how you want to look at it. And we'll explore that a little more in a second. But you're not always just going to feel happy. We're going to feel a lot of things along the way. And if we're always chasing fleeting moments, I've come to learn that that often sets us up for short-lived happiness, short-lived bouts of feeling like we've won, and we're always going to continue to chase that dragon, and it will always seem slightly out of reach, as opposed to maybe there's a different way we can go about this and realize that we're being successful every single day. So today's episode is entitled Living the Dream, Lessons in Gratitude. Where was this inspired? Well, a few weeks back, there's a park right behind where we live. That's where I take Tyson walking often. And anyway, I was taking him on a walk. And while I was on this little stroll through the park, I ran into this gentleman who I've befriended. I'm sure it comes as no surprise to many who know me that I make friends pretty much everywhere I go. I like to socialize. I like to just rub shoulders and be friendly with people. I think that's a good thing, to just acknowledge other humans in our path. Anyway, we become friendly and just kind of touring around, running into him several times. And we've had some pretty cool conversations, and I hadn't seen him in a bit because I'd been neglecting to walk through the park and I hadn't taken Tide back there in a while. And this one day, just run into him. I think this might have been closer to Thanksgiving. Anyway, irrelevant. Run into him, and we're just exchanging some pleasantries in the beginning. And he asked me, "How are you doing?" Anybody who knows me, one of my typical ways of responding is, "I'm living the dream." I fully believe it. I mean it every single day. I'm living the dream, man. And he had this really unique response. He follows up with, "Well, what does that mean to you?" And a little bit shocked and surprised that he put me on the spot that way. The answer was simple. It's like, well, I got some air in my lungs and a smile on my face, man. It's like, that's good. That's awesome. And he takes it a step further. He starts to recount this story. So, a lot of people take that kind of stuff for granted. When I was in the hospital, he tells about his time he spent, it was like 3-4 weeks, might have been 3-4 months. Can't remember exactly what it was, but he was in some dire straits. He didn't know if he was going to make it. And he was sick, and he didn't know if it was going to work out. I was like, you know what I noticed? The people in the hospital, the ones that were smiling, the ones that knew they were dying. They knew that it was almost over. They had accepted they were dying. And the people were frowning. There's the people that knew they were leaving. They were expecting to leave. And I thought that that was a really powerful, powerful moment. People who understand that the time and that they have left, this precious few moments that they had left, being able to see their loved ones, being able to have this experience we call life, being able to engage in that, were there with a smile on their face. And the others were not appreciating that very gift that, and I'm not going to say I don't fall victim to it. I've certainly struggled with it. We get lost in the day to day. We get lost and I just got to get done with this. I got to get on to the next thing. Just got to get through it. Now, I, for one, am not somebody who wants to just get through life. Because all of a sudden you just get through it enough times and what are you left with? The end. And all of a sudden you didn't get to actually experience the things as you were going through it. Even the tough times, the growth times. So I felt this story he shared, it really speaks to perspective and appreciation for what you have. It speaks to my mind that gratitude is a choice. It's not a circumstance. It's not some preset condition. It's a choice. How we choose to look at our environment will frame our experience. And what I've found, especially when it comes to the personal development, business development, whatever space you want to call it, it's also the first line of defense in times of peril. And more so, it's the foundation for living a quote unquote happy life, a fulfilling life. You must be grateful for it in the first place. So again, how we choose to frame our experiences that are surrounding us and impacting us, well, this is going to drastically affect how we respond with our environment, how we choose to behave, how we choose to engage with our actions out thereafter. I've got Ty right here, one being on this planet that I'm also quite grateful for. He brings us some joy and some happiness to my mornings, my days. But back to what I was saying is that what I've learned is that those who are capable of grounding their actions in this platform of gratitude, this base, they tend to, I've yet to see otherwise. I don't like to speak in absolutes, but at least in my experience, I have yet to see anybody who truly, I think, really looks like what we'd say, quote unquote, happy. It's like a happy person. Those who ground themselves routinely in gratitude experience greater joy, fulfillment, and then most importantly, what I see is sustainable success. You see a lot of people who shoot the moon, or I like to think of win the lottery. They come into external success really quickly, but then blow their lives up. Sustainable success, how they can curate a fulfilling, winning environment for years to come. So let's examine this. So you see, we as humans, we are hardwired for survival. Everything in our biology is geared towards reacting to stimuli in a way that's from a vantage point. It's like, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die. I would even go so far as to say we're always confronting that existential crisis. We're trying to avoid the notion we're going to die one day, but it's always something that we're dealing with. Don't die, don't die, don't die. Like, get more food, get more water, get more whatever. And how we're seeing that in life, especially now that we have this excess. When we are trying not to die, we try to hoard resources. So we see this in more food, more sex, more money, more drugs, more stuff, more control. We want to accumulate things and external resources and hoard that because we have this sense of security with the stuff. Because if there's times of, we'll call it famine, on any one of those theoretical things, we have something and we have a reservoir to pull from. We see this play out. The way I've seen it play out is in our societal groups. You see that how we start to organize ourselves. We put ourselves into these tribal units so that we can utilize our resources and shared resources in a certain way. About in survival, it's a lot of like us versus them. It's binaries of right and wrong and good and bad, should, shouldn't. And what I've heard a lot of is a lot of scarcity, a lot of rigidity, a lot of dogmas. And again, they're decidedly all based in this fear of lacking and not being enough, scarcity of resources. And it should be acknowledged, like, that's not bad in the sense that it worked. It got us to a certain point in society. For much of history, human history, it was not a given. There's a lot of times there wasn't clean water, there wasn't readily available food. You can just go to the grocery store. And until we came to terms with that and we found a way to overcome that, and where we're at now in life, we couldn't deal with that. So yeah, it worked. I got the puppers getting a little woofy with me. So again, that was useful as a short-term strategy. And you're just revving it up every single day. Today, don't die. Today, don't die. Today, don't die. And again, not bad. We got to keep living. We got to move the species along. And when success is defined by not being dead, this makes sense. But what happens if your definition changes? What if you're wanting something that's a little more intrinsically validating? Something driven more by love and a deeper sense of fulfillment, something that is also sustainable energetically while you're doing that. Because again, you still need to not die. Like, this is more of an existential question here. Well, the important thing here, remember, is that no matter what you're doing in life, whatever pursuit you're undertaking, you're still going to confront these moments of, I call it peril or scarcity, where it's just going to look like the external variables are scarce, where things are bleak. You're going to have to learn how to navigate that. You have to learn how to deal with that moment. And you got to deal with it in a way that is going to prevent you from going back into that survival strategy. Because oftentimes what happens there, it's very emotionally driven, immediate gratification, and it's a short-term strategy. A lot of times you see a lot of people crash and burn long-term, and they get caught up in this rat race, kind of this hamster wheel lifestyle, burnout lifestyle in that, because they just don't know how to get out of it, because they get caught up in this. They don't know how to just ground themselves. And they start engaging in behaviors that are actually not fully in alignment with what they said they actually want long-term. So this is where gratitude enters. And I know for myself, this is something that I lean on heavily. Especially, I have a lot of empathy for my entrepreneurial friends, the world of entrepreneurship. Somebody said this not too long ago, and I've shared in a couple other videos. Or somebody said it was like, how'd they say it? It was that entrepreneurism is like a euphemism for personal development. It's just an excuse for somebody to pursue a life making some money while improving as a human being. And I fully agree with that. So using gratitude in this space when things get wild, because you're going to be confronted with all your insecurities. You're going to be confronted with money issues. You're going to be confronted with people issues. You're going to be confronted with reputation, like all the things. But I think something that's lost in all of this for most of us living in the modern world, we're really, at the end of the day, miles from true calamity 90% of the time. And I'm talking in broad strokes. So take that with a grain of salt. Yes, there are people in some really dire straits on this planet. But for most people, they got a roof over their head, they got food in their belly, they know where their next meal is. And we're not, like, cataclysmic failure is not just right around the corner. There's a lot of other things, a lot of other steps that would have to come between where that moment of panic and where you would not have some type of option or some type of resolution to help step in. That might not seem real to somebody who might be listening to this right now, but and again, there's stuff, there's dark things, there's sad things. I'm not dismissing that. I'm speaking from a place a lot of times, like, where it's, coming from a scarcity of money or things like that. There's a lot of different options. There's a lot of different ways to make money, to provide value, what have you. But it's important to remember that and if somebody reacts negatively, that it's important to remember that when we're stuck in the crosshairs of that moment, our primal brain, this ancient brain that we have that always is screaming, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die. It's a great sensor to say, I'm feeling like things are not going to work out. We need to bring in resources. We need to bring in solutions to create prosperity, to not die. It does a great job doing it. And it's not going to think any different. Now, thankfully, we have the human brain that can do some pretty amazing things. We have this wisdom that we can actually use. And if we learn how to ground ourselves and steady ourselves, we can steady the ship. We can gain some true perspective. We can zoom out on the situation. We can have foresight. We can have perspective. We can have unique perspective. We can get wisdom from other people. We can borrow experiences from other people. And with that, we can then realign our next steps with what our actual goals are, what our actual pursuits are, and in a way that's in alignment with what we care about, that we said that matters to us, with our values and our beliefs and our ethics and our identity, what have you. And if it's in alignment, it's going to become sustainable. We can repeat it. Because again, it's part of who we are. And again, I think that's important at moments like this. We forget how truly amazing it is to just simply be alive, first and foremost. It's kind of crazy when you think about what the human body is. The fact that we even have a shot at breathing, standing, walking, doing, having a conscious brain altogether, whatever consciousness is. The fact that we can even ask ourselves that question. The fact that we can ask ourselves the question, what is the meaning of life? That's wild that we can even think upon that. To have these other things, like just having opportunities around us to impact our environment, to hell, like to hold our loved ones close, to speak of love, to pursue our passions. These are a lot of like beautiful circumstances, albeit with their own challenges and their own frustrations and their own highs and lows. The fact that they even exist and we have an ability to exchange energy with that's pretty wild, and it's pretty amazing. It's quite beautiful that we have that opportunity, and we take it for granted. And when we continually take it for granted, it's not a surprise that when we just got used to it being around us, we forget how magical it is in the first place, that's a gift in and of itself. So practically speaking, because at the end of the day, we have to deploy these strategies in a very practical sense. Otherwise, what's the utility? People aren't going to do it if it's super complex. Simply starting with a list of gratitude. What are you grateful for? Not only does it remind you of all the things surrounding you that you have, like there's just an abundance of stuff and opportunities there. But then we also realize like we have an overabundance. We have something that we have excess of, and it's all at our fingertips. We have something to give. You realize you're not scarce. And what's cool there is just in acknowledging that, we can feel that our base level of security it's actually safe. It's secure. We have enough. I'm whole. I'm not lacking. When we feel like we're lacking, we feel like we're showing up to, what I see with a lot of people is they're showing up to like the sales meeting, they show up to their relationships. Like, I'm not full. I'm not complete. I'm not worthy of even being in the space. I'm gonna have to fake it. As opposed to, I am all that I need. I'm okay. I'm complete. I'm hoping to continue to grow, and I'm looking to share this space with you. That's a very different perspective to and arrive in a situation. And not only looking to grow, looking to provide value. It's a very, very different energy to arrive. When you do that, you realize you show up at those situations that you've already won. You don't need the other side. It's just bonus. And you can appreciate that too for what it is, what it's really bringing to the table. And you can really be distinguishing and discerning about what you're bringing into your life. You've already won because you even have a shot to show up. Appreciate it as such. It's important to remember, one day you won't be able to walk again. You won't be able to hold your loved ones close again. You won't be able to go out there and pursue your dreams on a bad day. It's not always going to be there. So the time you do have right now in front of you is quite valuable. The time you're sharing with some people is quite valuable. Because as far as I know, you're not getting another shot at this. And I realize at this point in my life that I know very little, but I do know that much. Make the most of what you got. So this power of gratitude forces us to confront these blessings. I see it really as a powerful antidote to the victim mindset. So I have a lot of these great things here. How could I be a victim? I have plenty. And when you operate from that place, knowing you have plenty, now you're looking to truly give. Whereas often somebody in a victim mindset is looking to take because they don't feel whole. They feel like it's been taken from them. You can truly be of service because you don't need you can do an honest exchange. You can really understand where somebody's coming from. You can really look to serve. You can ask the right questions. You can be present. And when you're confronting these things, you're not only reminded of like you have plenty to be thankful, but like you still have so much more to offer the world. Perhaps you're selling yourself short. Perhaps that's sometimes why we struggle to be truly grateful, because then on the other side of it, we then ask ourselves, well, what more could I be doing? If I no longer have something to be complaining about because I'm not grateful, and now that I am grateful, I have lots of success, I'm very happy, and I'm blessed with all these things. Am I living up to my full potential? Am I really going after all the things I really care about? And again, a lot of what I've observed and what I've experienced and what I've seen is people that are routinely grateful, they seem fulfilled every single day. They look like they're feeling elements of success every single day because they know that they started with winning. They're grateful for what they just showed up with in the first place. And then they orient their actions with, I'm going to make the most of today on top of it because everything else is bonus. And when they're freed of that limitation, they act accordingly and they give value and they provide more. And then success begats more success. And scarcity begats more scarcity. And the funny part about it is that it's just merely a matter of perspective. Can you start with reframing how you're looking at your current situation? Gratitude is a choice. And sometimes you just need to be grateful for the lessons you've been given. Because wisdom is massively valuable. It gives you insight the next time a certain situation shows up. And there's a lot of patterns that repeat out there. It's common. Which should more or less give you the cheat codes to become more successful in those situations in the future. It's called experience. It should allow you to fast track your path back to whatever external validation you're looking for, if you're looking for external validation or external resources that you need to achieve some endeavor, whether it's building a business, buying a house, buying an engagement ring, buying a car, looking better naked, whatever the thing is. You can still accumulate physical resources, and you probably could do it at greater speed with seemingly less effort. But it has to start from first being grateful for the lessons, perhaps of feelings of loss in the past. I know in my experiences, I look back on all of my painful experiences, and I'm grateful for them now. I have no anger, no resentment, just appreciation. Because now I see where I'm at in my life as I'm starting to see consistent themes without those lessons in those other avenues in life and those other scenarios and those in the previous context. I would not have been able to get that little glimmer of insight, that small lesson that applies in all these other scenarios, with whether it's more money on the line, more liability, more whatever, heavier subject matter, whatever the thing is. Those were opportunities to train myself to be able to hold space, to ask better questions, to be more present, to be a better partner in a relationship, to be more mindful about money, to be more respectful of my body, whatever it is. All those other things in the past were great. The failures were great because not only can I help myself, but then it also allows me to better serve others, which is part of a big part of what I'm doing, what I care about. Wow. And had I not gotten those painful lessons, I might not have gotten them at all. And maybe I wouldn't have been able to be of service the level I would have hoped to be. And from where I'm standing now, that'd be a travesty for me. I would be sad. I'm grateful for the ability to serve the way I am now. And I'll be grateful for the ability to serve better a year from now, hopefully. Hopefully I have the opportunity to be able to live to that time, because who knows what's going to happen. And that's why, for me, part of conditioning myself, and most people know that one of them I always respond with, I'm just living the dream, man. Because it's a decision. I decide I'm going to wake up and I'm going to live the dream today. I'm going to decide to wake up and be grateful. And I'm not saying it's perfect every single day for me, and I'm not going to say it's perfect any day for anybody else. But it's the practice of that, and even saying it out loud, whether you're wholeheartedly believing it or not, it's just the practice of saying it and hearing it and then buying into the notion over and over and over again. And you prepare yourself for it. It's a practice like any other, and you get better at it, and you're still going to have tough days, and your resilience is going to be tested at times, and your perseverance is going to be tested at times, and that's part of it. But practicing that, the routine practice of gratitude, is what's important, because it will be strong enough on the hardest of times. If you haven't trained it, you haven't practiced it, like I mentioned before, that's why I'm less grateful for those lessons of my past, those painful times with less on the line, though it seemed like everything was on the line at that time. Now I look back and I'm like, wow, it could have been more. It could have been worse. It could have been a lot more challenging. There could have been harder things. That was what I needed at the time. So with all this, I'm just grateful for even that moment, walking through the park, spending some quiet time with my dog, wherever he is now. God only knows what he's doing. He was growling earlier. Having a quiet moment, then being confronted by this powerful question by this gentleman who's seen some things in life, who's probably experienced a hell of a lot more than I have, who I know who's shared some stories of tragedy and loss and pain and dark times, was so generous to even just ask such a question and to implore such thought, and then for allowed me space to go explore it in that moment. And I've here weeks later still exploring this thought. How generous of him. And it's worth considering we can do this for each other. So my challenge, as I'm leaving this as my sign off to my birthday episode, is how can you create more joy in your life through gratitude? What can you be grateful for every single day? How can you introduce a practice of gratitude? Are you somebody who journals? Are you somebody who just needs to set a timer in the morning and just list off as many things you're grateful for a minute? Something we did at the gym, we called it, and I still suggest people try this practice too. They called it a mindful moment. For a minute, just think of as many things as you're grateful for. And afterwards, what's one thing, one action you're going to take, one way you're going to make that day or that moment or that time frame in front of you a positive experience. So first you have the gratitude to center yourself, ground yourself, and then from that, with that sense of clarity and sense of stability and safety and security, you can make a very clear-headed decision and simple action plan of what's one task you're going to do, what's one thing you're going to execute upon to create a positive outcome. You do that enough times, you have clarity and direction in the direction of what you care about. You do that enough times, you're eventually going to get there. You're eventually going to get there. You'll see the path ahead. You'll know what to do to get there. You'll trust yourself. You're going to have greater confidence. It's a pretty cool place to start. And on top of that, you're probably going to appreciate every step a little bit more, which, if there's anything to be said, that might be the greatest gift of all, that you actually appreciated the journey. You actually enjoyed the journey. You're actually grateful for the down times, as like I said, the good times and the growth times, because they're all part of this wild thing we call life, this human experience. So those are all my thoughts for right now. I hope that this is finding you in a place of love and happiness, We're not too far into the new year of 2022 as I'm recording this. Perhaps you have not made some space for you to truly evaluate what goals you want going forward into this year. Perhaps you are still reacting to the flurry of last year, the ending of last year. Most people are just reacting and then reacting again and then reacting again, never slowing down to really consider what they care about. So my hope is that you could start with this practice. Start from a place of you didn't fail, you learned. You're just where you're at. Start with gratitude. What do you have in front of you? Like there's a whole season of being thankful. That whole Thanksgiving thing and the holiday season is supposed to be about being grateful. It should have preset you for this. Well, there's me using dogmas, words of dogma. Should hopefully that season preset you to just reevaluate and realign your priorities around what you care about. The more years that go by, you realize how your holidays look a little bit different, who's around each holiday, if there's more people or less people, or how those crowds change and what you're looking for more of in your life, what more experiences you're looking to have. Perhaps you're here now. Maybe you didn't take an actual shot at starting your goals. Maybe you just got too far behind because you started reacting again, had to get back to work, had to get back to this, had to start doing this, had to like, as opposed to just taking a beat, slowing down, reevaluating, appreciating what you have beyond just some preset national holiday period where everybody decides they're going to be thankful and then forgets about it. Maybe you extend that season of gratitude, season of giving beyond that. Maybe you extend that into your everyday life. How does that become part of who you are all the time? Maybe this is the time you start that. And with exactly the strategies I just discussed with you. Start there, reevaluate, come back to that place of you've already won and you can keep growing. Are you fortunate enough to have a loving partner? They might not be perfect, but they're still looking to grow. They still care about you, still stay by your side. Maybe you've grown a family, looking to better lead. Maybe you have all the external resources you need, but you're looking for a greater sense of purpose in what you're doing. How can you enrich the experiences within your family? How can you get rid of some of the excess? Have you paused and looked to do that? Maybe not. I hope that this reflection, this exercise has been posed in front of you can serve as that starting point, as that launching point for you to have a time for you to check in with yourself and understanding that the strategy is grounded in something solid. It's not just some oh, let's be great. No, it's real. It will bring you back to a place of clarity and reassurance and security and safety, and that will allow you to make better decisions going forward. You just got to do it over and over and over again. You got to put it into practice and make it a routine, not just on the easy days. In fact, it's most important on the hardest days, on the most challenging days, because that's when you're going to realize how strong you are, how resilient you are, how powerful your system of practice and gratitude has become. It needs to be tested. So those are going to be the good days. Those will be the great days because you grew. The growth times, as I said. Those are all my thoughts right now, my friends. And like I said, I hope this episode finds you in love and happiness. And I for one, am super grateful for you. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Everybody who's been with me through the past couple of years, it's been an interesting time pivoting in my personal life and my professional life. Been scary at times. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I've learned more about myself and being willing to change. I've never been prouder of the people around me. I've never been more grateful for the people that have chosen to stand by me through those difficult times. It's challenged me to become a better communicator, a better husband, a better friend, a better listener. all things that we struggle with. And better means it's not over, it's still growing. I still want to be better for those people because things are going to change. And I hope the same for you. I love getting older. A lot of people love getting older, but I'm one of the few people who loves it. I think it's great. It's the gift of getting older. You get wisdom. I have more time on this planet experienced. It's pretty cool. The gift of being able to live longer. Wow. We never think about that. All we think about is how little time we have left. Well, how fortunate we've had to be able to have just the time we've had. Pretty cool. It's more than some. So being able to get the opportunity to live a little longer, man, that's cool too. And my hope and my excitement for this coming year with some of the new opportunities, especially work with a lot of, where my heart's really been called lately, is to work with high performing couples, people that are not just looking to, it's great to make more money, but how do you enrich your relationships? How do you strengthen your family? All those things need to be taken account for. And it's thanks to all the people that have been in my life and supporting me this far that I feel I've never felt more clear that that's where I need to go and who I need to support going forward. Because I see that being able to be impactful for generations to come, because at the end of the day, the parents are the ones modeling for the kids. And those kids will become parents one day and they'll be modeling for theirs. So it's my hope that I can just do my part to help improve lives for other people, and then hopefully they can help others improve their lives as well. But we'll see where it goes. Again, thank you so much for choosing to just even humor my thoughts for a little bit. I hope that you found some value from this episode today. I hope that these lessons that have come from some trials and tribulations in my life can be of value to you, and they can support you through your difficult times, and then help you find greater success and prosperity in your own life, both personally and professionally. That's all I've got for now, my friends. From the bottom of my heart, I love you. And until next time, always remember to love everybody.